And streaming live at tunes925live.com. This is Johnny Keegan, and gosh, I'm 42 years old, and this has been like one of my career highlights. I've been pacing back and forth, wearing out the rug. Hot Rod, Rowdy Piper is our special guest in the studio. Welcome in.
Thank you. I love you too.
Man.
Very cool.
You made being the bad guy so cool, and I was such a fan of you because you were the bad guy. I mean, you were mean to poor old Frankie Williams, the jobber on Piper's Pit. Mean to Jimmy Snuka. That was fantastic. I want to talk about a lot of your career, but before the rock and wrestling with Cyndi Lauper in WWF or WWE, I saw you on wrestling magazines, and I saw you all bloody up with a chain around your collar fighting Greg Valentine. We didn't have the internet back then, so that's how we heard of wrestlers. Gosh, this Rowdy Piper's got to be darn good. He's got blood all over his face and a chain. A dog collar match.
Dog collar match.
You've never done one since then, have you?
Let me tell you about the dog collar match.
Please do.
Unfortunately, it was my idea. I was with Jimmy Crockett in Charlotte, North Carolina, and really what it was in New York, they had Bruno Sammartino go against Larry Zbyszko in Shea Stadium. They did a $500,000 gate. And Jimmy Crockett, back in those days, Washington was a Mason-Dixon line because New York would go far down as the Cap Center in Washington, D.C., and then Crockett's would pick it up in Norfolk, Richmond, and on down. So when New York had this huge outdoor event, it got jealousy with the South. And so they decided they're going to put on the very first pay-per-view in history. And it was called Starrcade. So Jimmy Crockett said, I want you to come up with the meanest match you can think of. Sure, I can do that. Then he said to me, I want chains and leathers and spikes. And I don't know what he watched actually on the TV, but that's what he said he wanted. And so I went out and got these dog collars made by a shoemaker. And they were 1.5 inches wide. And chains, I thought to myself. And I went, and it's a logging chain, and it's really, really heavy, and I got 15 feet of logging chain. All right. Oh, spikes. We'll put spikes on the collar. Yeah, that's a great idea. So now, and then, you know what? These guys, they'll put it around their neck, and they'll fight to the finish. And I came in to Jimmy Crockett, so I was like, oh, and he said, yeah, but is that going to fit your and Valentine's neck? He didn't tell me it was for me. I stole the collars back. And what I did is inside the collars, I put sheep's wool. Because I thought to myself, that would be more gentle for us. Okay. What I didn't realize, because the premise of that match was it was so brutal that people would come back to see it. For some reason, it didn't dawn on me either. I'd have to do it another 15 times. All right, so now with Valentine, who doesn't need weapons.
He's called the Hammer.
He's the Hammer. Bottom line is, we had this, I guess it's the first hardcore match in history. And after about 12 of them, there's a very famous picture. Valentine's got chain around his fist. And I'm down. I lost the hearing in the left ear.
That's what my question was going to be.
Yeah. And he's nailing and it's bleeding bad. And it sounds like he's cursing. And all the people, they're really getting angry. And I can't understand what he's saying. And I reach up and pull the blood clot out of my ear. And obviously, if I could answer his question, maybe he would quit beating me up. And this is because what happened was when I put the sheep's wool in, after about 12 of them, we both had 1.5 inch rash around our neck. Looked like herpes zoster 111. And Valentine was so mad. He's got me by the hair, and he's going, only a moron would put sheep's wool in a dog collar. And that was the big swearing he was doing. And then I never had any more. I had one with Buzz Sawyer in Atlanta. It's just too rough. And when the match started, what we did is I backed away from him really quick because once you come forward, then you have links of chain to work with. And, these are things that didn't dawn on us because, it was the first time done. And you needed to keep, away from the guy until you wanted to come in and do your work and get out. And you can see the first fight on Starcade, we backed up, and that chain was so heavy, it was dangling in the middle. And it was about 25 minutes, I think, the first one, and I never had a match that I heard for about 3 months. Every morning when I woke up, I'd pull my head up, and my pillow would be stuck to my ear because of all the fluid running out of my ear. And, you know, there was...
It's dinner time.
It's dinner. Sorry, you know, but like I'm really delicious. And that's how that came about. It was just supposed to be the roughest match in the history. And holy cow, you know, thank you.
Roddy Piper is our special guest hanging out with us at Tunes 925. Of course, everybody knows you as your career for Piper's Pit in WWE. But tell me about the heat you had legit with Mr. T.
Whoa, he still hates me. Yeah, I'll tell you how it started. Well,
please.
We had a press conference in Rockefeller Center, and it was the first press conference. And you know, I was late, so the door was closed when I come up, and I opened the door, and there's so many people in there, and there's cameras going on. And the first guy on my right-hand side standing was Mr. T. Next to him was Hogan. Next to Hogan was Vince standing on a podium. Next to Vince was Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. And then there was my name tag, because I was late. And when I come in, first thing Mr. T does, he looks at me, and he flexes his arm like, you know, like bicep flex. And he goes, feel that. I look at this geek, you know. So I squeezed his head and said, it's pretty soft. I didn't know you weren't supposed to touch Mr. T in the contract. Plus, I guess he doesn't have much of a sense of humor. And that set us off in a wrong direction. The problem is Mr. T was probably the world's best-known celebrity, TV celebrity at the time. He wanted to come in and play wrestling and throw guys' heads together and, you know, eat a jam sandwich or whatever. And you got the wrong guy there, Mr. T. You know, I even went on his set, and there was a chair that said Mr. T, and and he calls himself T because that's all he can spell. You know, and it just kept getting worse and worse to the fact. I said, I'm not taking a dive for this guy. No way, because this guy's coming in our business, trying to make a joke out of it and walking out. He doesn't joke about it at all now. And
so, was it your idea with the Piper's Pit to give the Haiti Kid a mohawk?
Oh, God bless the Haiti Kid. I just
is he gone too, or
I don't know where he is.
You don't keep in touch with the Haiti Kid?
No, I don't. But I remember grabbing him by his elbow, and Bobby Orton Ace had him by his other elbow, and his little feet were just, you know, the traction his feet were going.
Oh my gosh!
He wouldn't go nowhere, and I put the gray, what do you call it, gaffer's tape over his mouth. And one of the things that in WrestleMania 3. This will make sense to you in a second. It was hair versus hair with Adrian Adonis, and I won. But I know this for a fact. If you try to give somebody a haircut when their hair is wet, it's a disaster, right? So there was Brutus Beefcake. And, you know, being the upstanding man I am, I said, you do it. And that's how he got named Brutus the Barber. And when I had the Haiti Kid, that's where I learned this. I'm trying to cut his hair, and it's pulling out gushes of blood. And thank God he had tape on it. Like, I want to kill you. Oh, and the more he did that, the more we laughed. I love the Haiti Kid.
Wherever he may be.
Wherever he may be, yeah.
Listening to Tunes 925. We're doing something different. We're just going all live for the hour pretty much with Rowdy Piper.
Cool.
I mean, you don't get this opportunity too often to talk to someone who's been an idol, to, you know, admired you so much. And we're talking now about basically Piper's Pit. And, of course, everybody's going to talk about what? Jimmy Snuka.
Jimmy Superfly. Aye.
Superfly got in a little trouble here one time wrestling in Watertown. Basically... about a dozen security guards got hurt when he got upset.
He's a tough boy.
Yeah.
He's a tough boy.
Tell me how about that came about.
You know, like, first of all, like, the first Piper's Pit, I had no idea what I was going to do. As a matter of fact, just let me tell you how the concept came about. I'm in a bar in St. Louis, something different for me in those days. And Vince McMahon is there, and I said, you give me a bow tie and a mic stand in 5 weeks. If I don't get the job done, I'm out of here. Because what was happening was they had Vince McMahon Sr. had handpicked all the best talent from all over the world.
All over AWA and Portland,
yes.
yeah.
And anyone, Don Morocco, Hogan, Orndorff, Bobby Orton, any one of those guys were a main event unto themselves and had proved that. Mm-hmm. So we were all trying to, they say, where's the competition? The competition is trying to stay main event. And less than a ritual killing, we were beating up the mid-card guys so bad there was no place to go. And that's why I said, I'm not going to let them see me wrestle. They're going to have to pay, but I'll talk. And then I forgot that I said that to McMahon. And the next TV I see, the Piper's Pit that you know of, the setup of it, there it was. And I'm going to myself, oh, son of an unnamed goat. What am I going to do? And Frankie Williams was the first guy. And I swear to you.
He was the first guest on Piper's
Frankie
Pit?
Williams was.
He was a jobber, lost every match, and he's the first guest on Piper's Pit.
Right up until the second, they they point to me, we're on the air. I didn't know. So as an interviewer, what would you say?
It wasn't scripted.
Oh, nothing was.
Wow.
No, they hated. Oh, nothing I do scripted. I can't remember nothing. and so I say to Frankie Williams, and Frankie Williams is the only Puerto Rican gentleman I know that had freckles. And he's sitting there, so I says, so where are you from? God bless Frankie Williams. He goes,
Cleveland.
Thickest Puerto Rican accent. Yeah. He says, I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
We're on a roll, baby. And oh yeah, but you're a lousy wrestler. I give 110% in that. Well, you should be selling shoes or whatever. And when it came time, the cameraman, was giving me like 30 seconds, and I'm trying to get Frankie to leave, and I had to get on him. Boom, and I pushed him through a curtain, and I came back to the camera, and he come like the alien. Boom, he's back on me. And finally, I had to really knock him out to get him out of there. And I turned to the camera and said, every time you think you got all the answers, I change the questions. And Piper's Pit was established.
Exactly. Now, with that famous quote.
4 weeks later, they had Jimmy. And I don't know if it was Allentown or Harrisburg. And, we got there around 11 o'clock in the morning because we had a lot of interviews to do. And I'm looking, and they tell me you got Jimmy on Piper's Pit and the Schnook. And I don't know what's going on. I said to this kid, go get me some stuff from Fiji. So, because people said, where do you get the coconut from? I don't know, Hank's, Safeway. There ain't no coconut shop in Allentown.
Right.
So, and he come back with a bag of pineapples, bananas, and coconuts. And they handed me this bag about 30 minutes before I'm going on. So I go out and doing the Piper's Pit, and I love Schnook. But he only says 3 things,
Brother.
Brother. Hey, Jimmy, how was the wedding? Brother. How was the funeral? Brother. Okie dokie. And I'm doing the bananas thing. Come on, Jimmy. Say something to me. Nothing. You're a monkey, and the pineapples was really weak. What correlation is that to Fiji? It's like the women, round and fuzzy on top. And then I pulled out a coconut. Now, I don't know that I ever touched a coconut before that. I'm not sure. There are not many coconuts in Scotland, Canada. I don't know. Okay? And I'm dropping it on the table, and it's going. And I'm looking at Jimmy like, do you want me to hit you in the head with one of these? Brother. And like 5, 6 coconuts, and the cameraman's telling me, And I don't know if I've ever said this. What enforced me to actually do it was Jimmy always wore this headband of seashells. Mm-hmm. It's a head guard. You got it. I rolled back like Nolan Ryan, and I hit him. Baby Jesus, that coconut, whoosh, and Jimmy goes back, and the whole set comes down, which exposes the fact that we're really in a warehouse, and there's two meat packers and a dolly pulling on a Pall Mall back there going, what's the guy in the dress doing? And now Jimmy's down, and I thought I killed him. His eye, I don't know if you've seen somebody who gets hit hard, but his eyes rolled. And he wasn't really moving. And then he started moving, and my life was in danger. And I took off my belt, and I started whipping him. And people think I was, being aggressive. No, I was saving lives, my own. And if you watch it, I whipped him because I could see where my dressing room was. And it was like a really big, solid, tough arena. And the truth is, I whipped him enough where I could find the angle, and boom, I got in my dressing room, and I know it's radio, so you got to just kind of picture it. The dressing room door, you had to push it to get it open. It's industrial. And right behind the door was the wall. I got in the dressing room. I shut the door. I had my shoulder against the door and my foot on the wall because I knew all hell was going to break loose. And boom, the indentation of a Fijian. And from there, they said that it's like I hurt him bad. And they said he went back to the dressing room, and for about 20 minutes, they said, "Hey, Jimmy, you okay?" And there was nothing.
No brother.
No brother, and that's just how that happened. And it was great for me, but I'll be honest, I look back at it, and because back then it was more the fastest gun. And, I hurt the guy. And if you look at his career from there on, he had some troubles, and I love him. I think that sometimes maybe because of the situation, we were getting really rough with each other. And as much as, you want to entertain and do all that other kind of stuff, it was getting, it's like it was about a week. I'm not sure, 2 or 3 weeks maybe, when I was about 10 feet away from Dr. Schultz slapping Stossel.
Right.
Boom, so like all this was going on at the same thing. And it's the same time I'm in the ring in the garden, and I've been in so many riots, I just used to it, and something kind of blonde and red-haired had come out under the first rope, bottom rope into the ring, and I just turned and kicked it, and it was Cyndi Lauper. I kick a girl who wants to have fun. She's boom, and Captain Lou Albano, and then the next thing there's a New York City policeman with a uniform with a gun, and then here comes everybody else. You look at it, and the ring just filled up. And then, like, for the next year, people come beside me, turn up girls, just want to have fun. It was hard. They
I have to listen to that song.
They hated me. As a matter of fact, they're doing a documentary on me right now called Behind the Villain. And I guess it's like being crazy. I just don't see it. I don't know, they say. But anyway, that's truly how that happens.
Is it warm enough in here for you?
It's a wee bit warm, but I'm a soldier. I'm here for you. I'm proud to be.
Well, Tunes is hiring, and if you can stand the warmth, you're all good.
I'm here, buddy.
Rowdy Roddy Piper's our special guest. We'll take a quick break and come back with more. Your Tunes, Tunes 92.5.
Ow!